Hi everyone, it's me, Spring, the fiber enthusiast, and welcome to the channel. So today we're just going to crochet up this quick mitt. Now this could be for a newborn to toddler, depending on, how many you do, how many rounds you do, and also how much you use as far as increases and stuff. So for the most part, this is baby, larger baby to toddler size. Yeah, super simple. We're incorporating a couple stitches and that's about it. Half double crochets, single crochets, and picking up stitches to create part of a star stitch. And yeah, all right. So what did I use for this cute little mitt here? I used some Burnett Sheepish Stripes, Vicky Howell. Now, it's considered a worsted weight. You can use whatever you so choose. The colorway is Citrus. Now, the recommended hook size is a 5mm. I'm not using a 5mm. I'm using a 4. I'm using actually a 4.5. It is a G hook. A G plus. Here we go. G plus. But a 4.5mm crochet hook. You'll need a couple of stitch markers, one to mark the end and the beginning of your round, as well as when we mark off to do the thumb here. A darning needle, a pair of scissors, all your basics for this project. So to start off with, we are going to chain 9 chains. Now, if you want to do a single crochet foundation row, you are more than welcome to do so, but I'm going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And we're going to turn our work over and look at those back bumps, the spine of your chain. And we're going to go into the second one and place a single crochet. And now we're going to work in the back bump of every bump to the end of our chain, placing a single crochet into each and every one. You should have 8 stitches when you get to the end, 8 single crochets. Just a few more here and we will count to make sure that we have 8. Now, if you want to do this shorter, you most definitely can. I did it so that way you could roll the cuff up if you needed to. But if their hand doesn't get any bigger and they're as far as width, but length, it kind of grew a little bit, you can open that cuff up. Give you a little bit more down on the arm as well if you leave it open up, but you can also turn it up so that way it puts a little bit more up around the hand and not so much on the arm. Again, up to you how you want to do it. So let's count our single crochets, and we're going to count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. This first one can disappear on you. So if you want to put your stitch marker in there now and keep a count of your stitches that way, you are welcome to do so. I'm just going to count my stitches since it is only 8 single crochets. I'm just going to count my stitches. So from this point, we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn our work, and this is your repeating row. You're going to go into that back loop. Now there is a V look to your stitch. You have a loop close to you and a loop further away. That one further away is your back loop. You're going to yarn over and pull up a loop through it and single crochet. Go into the back loop and single crochet. So back loop only, single crochet each of your 8 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work, and do the same. Now I did that for a total of 17 rows. When you get to the end of your 17th row, I will meet back up with you we'll join the two ends together and move forward on creating rounds. And I'll show you how to work the star stitch in the round when we do this. So back loop only, chain 1, turn your work, single crochet, back loop only, each of your 8 stitches for 17 rows. All right, so the next step in the process is once you have the amount of rows, we're going to bring the one end, the starting end, up from behind here. And we're just going to connect the two by going into the front of the stitch, of your first stitch, and the front of the stitch from the opposite side. And you're going to yarn over, pull through, and then slip stitch. Now, leave enough slack in your slip stitch that it doesn't draw it like really close together. You want both ends to be locked together, but you don't want to make it so tight that it pulls it from top to bottom tight. So again, we're going to go into the front of that stitch, front loop, and then into the front loop of the other stitch on the back. Pull through, and we're just going to do this all the way to the end. Just going to slip stitch these two panels together, two ends of the panel, not two different panels. And you can count your stitches as you go, so that way you know that you get the right number of slip stitches here. All right, one left. Then once we do that, we're now ready to start working in the round around the top, and we work over our tail. So now we're going to do a single crochet round. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to single crochet over that tail into that same spot. So I'm kind of going below the stitch in a way. There's a definite opening there. And single crochet. And then I'm going to go to the next one, which is right in between these two ridges. Go in, yarn over, pull up a loop, and single crochet over that tail. And we're going to do this all the way around. Now you had 17 rows, so you would have 17 stitches, 17 single crochets all the way around. So go ahead and work your 17 single crochets all the way around. And if you're having a hard time, just place them as evenly as possible around. That way you have the same amount on one half as you do the other half. So I'm just going to continue to work these single crochets. Now we're going to do another round of single crochet, but we're going to increase on the next round to get us to the amount of stitches that we need for the star stitch in the round pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and work my 17, and I'll be right back. All right, so if you had 17, we need to increase to multiples of 4. So we need to increase to 20 stitches. We need to put 2 single crochets in the first 2 stitches and 2 single crochets in the last stitch. So chain 1 and 2 single crochets in the first 2 stitches. There's 2, and then the next stitch, 2 more. There we go. and then 1 single crochet in every stitch until you have 1 remaining. When you have 1 remaining, you will put 2 single crochets into that last stitch, and that will be a total of 20 single crochets around. Then we will begin our star stitch in the round pattern. Almost to the end here. Make sure to double check your stitches. So there's 1 and 2. So I'm real quick going to count my stitches back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Then slip stitch to your very first stitch. And now we begin in the round. You're going to chain 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to work down this chain and out till we have a total of 6 loops on our hook. So there's 1. In the second chain is 2. In the third chain is 3. In where you slip stitch to is 4. And then next stitch 5, next stitch 6. Yarn over and go through all 6 stitches and chain 1. Now we will be working into the eye of that chain, so make sure that you don't cinch it down too tight. We currently have 1 stitch on our hook, 1 loop on our hook. We need a total of 6. You go into that eye that you just created with the chain 1 and pull up a loop. Now we're going to go into the side down here of our first star stitch, that first group. We're going to go in and go under both of those, yarn over and pull up a loop. That's 3. Now you're going to go into that last stitch that was worked from the previous group of stitches and pull up a loop. That's 4. And then 1 into the next 5 and 1 into the next 6. Once you have 6 loops, you're going to yarn over, pull through all 6 and chain 1. Now let's repeat that one more time together. We're going to go into the eye, yarn over, pull up a loop for 2 loops, into the side of the previous stitch, that cluster. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, that's 3. Then into that last worked stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop for 4. And then 1 into each of the next 2, 5, and 6. Yarn over and pull through all 6 and chain 1. Now you're ready to begin the next one. And you're going to work that all the way around. When we get to the end, I'll show you where to join. All right, so here we are on the last one, and you'll notice something. You'll notice that you only have 1 stitch following the last work stitch. Then you have this where you slip stitch 2. We're going to utilize that to complete this round. And I'll show you how. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then go into that where you have it slip stitch and 6. Yarn over, pull through all 6 loops, chain 1, and now you're going to slip stitch to the top of this very first cluster. So that very top 2 loops of your very first cluster, and pull through. Now you're going to slip stitch over to that eye of that first cluster. And now we're going to do a half double crochet round. you're going to place 2 half double crochets in each of the eyes. So chain 1 and half double crochet 2 times into that eye. Now you're going to skip over the next, what looks like a stitch, the top of that cluster, and we're going to work 2 half double crochets into the next eye. So 2 half double crochets into the next eye. And we're going to do this all the way around. 2 half double crochets into the following eye. Skip over to the next one, 2 half double crochets into it. We're just going to continue to work this all the way around. 2 half double crochets into each of the eyes. When you get to the end, you're going to slip stitch to your very first half double crochet. All right, so once you've made it all the way around, you should have a total of 20 half double crochets. Now we're going to create this separation for the thumb. You're going to chain 1 and half double crochet back into that same stitch. That's 1, and we're going to work 8 half double crochets stitches. So 1 half double crochet into each of the next 7 stitches. 2 for a total of 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Double check. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now you're going to skip 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and into the following, we're going to work a half double crochet. And you're going to pull those together so that way we close up that gap. We will be closing it up completely when we put the thumb in, but that is the first of the following 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And slip stitch to the top of your first one. Now we're going to create those star stitch again. This is a repeat now. We're going to do the exact same thing as we did here, just less amount because we dropped 4 stitches here. All right, so now we need to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3. We're going to pull up a loop into each of the 2 chains. So 1 and 2. That gives us 3 loops. We're going to go into the stitch that we slip stitched to. There is 4, and then 1 into each of the next 2 stitches. 5 and 6. Then yarn over, pull through all 6, and chain 1. Now let's do that again where we go into the eye, pick up our second loop, into the side of that cluster of loops, 3, into where the last work stitch was, 4, and then 1 into each of the next 2. 4, 6. Yarn over and pull through all and chain 1. Now we're going to continue to work this all the way around. The same exact as we were doing before in the previous star clusters. 6 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 6, and chain 1. Go ahead and continue that around. I will work the last one with you. Now we're at the last one, and once again, we're going to be working into where you slip stitch to. So We're going to work our 6 loops. There's 4, 5 into the next one, and then go into where you slip stitch for 6. Yarn over, pull through all 6, and chain 1, and then we're going to slip stitch to the top of that cluster, not the eye, but the top of that first cluster. And now we're going to work 2 half double crochet rounds. The first round is 2 half double crochets into each of the eyes. Now for this, I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 eyes. So I'm going to slip stitch to the first eye, chain 1, and place 2 half double crochets into that eye. There's 1 and 2. Hop over to your next eye and 2 half double crochets into that eye. And that's how we're going to work this round of half double crochet. Continue around and slip stitch to the top of your very first half double crochet. At the end of the round, you should have a total of 16 half double crochets. Now we're just going to simply chain 1 and half double crochet back into that first stitch and place 1 half double crochet into each of the remaining 15 stitches and slip stitch to your very first stitch when you get to the end, for a total of 16 half double crochets. Then we will repeat what we just did, that group of stars, 2 half double crochets in every eye, and then a half double crochet in every stitch. All right, so here we are. I'll show you where we're at here. We're going to repeat the star stitch, and this is up to you. You can continue on to make this part bigger and do a whole nother round, or for this particular one, I have ended by doing the star stitch, completing the next 2 rounds. So we're going to work through that together. So chain 1, 2, and 3. Go back to pulling up a loop in each of those 2 chains there, into the one where you slip stitch, and 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. Should have 3, or you should have 6 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 6 and chain 1. And now we will repeat that star pattern. Yarn over, pull up a loop through the eye, through the side of the stitch, to the last worked stitch, and once in each of the next 2 stitches. And close. So continue that and slip stitch to the top of the very first cluster of stitches, of loops. All right, once you've made it around and you've slip stitched to the very first cluster, we're going to slip stitch over to the eye. Now here we're going to decrease drastically. Now this is up to you. Like I said, you can do the 2 half double crochets in every eye all the way around and go through a whole nother repeat of those 3 rows. I'm going to decrease, so that way I have a matching pair. I'm going to go ahead and decrease now. Now I'm going to do it through half double crochet 2 together, and I'm going to be working in the eye. So I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to half double crochet 2 together. So here's the first eye. Then I'm going to jump over to the second eye and yarn over and pull up a loop and go through all 4 loops on my hook. Now I'm going to go to the next eye and half double crochet 2 together, that eye and the following eye together. Pull through all 4. And here we go again. We're going to half double crochet the next 2 eyes together. That one and the next one. And you're going to do this until you have reached the end. So we're going to half double crochet the next eye and the last eye. And then slip stitch to your first half double crochet 2 together. And you can cut away and leave a long enough tail to sew in the last few stitches at the top of this mitten. Then sew in your end, and your first part of your mitten will be done. And here we go. Now the next part is to do the thumb. You're just simply going to half double crochet around. Now it'll be 5 to 6 stitches depending on you. You're going to check the, if it's going to be okay for a baby's thumb. You are going to do 5 or 6. You do the 4 and then these 2 together to be 5. If you do 6, it would be the 4 and then 1 on each side, and continue the 6, and then you will just sew them together when it's to the height that you would like. No decreasing necessary. All right, so I am going to sew in my cutaway, sew in my end, and I'll be right back. All right, so now I've sewn in my end up here, and I'm going to begin this thumb. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run, because I'm doing 5, I'm going to start right here in the corner, and I'm going to pick up a stitch from each side here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and here. And I'm going to place a slip knot on my hook. I'm going to pull it through, chain 1, to lock everything in. Let's see if I can get everything situated here. And then I'm going to half double crochet back through those 2 stitches. I just wanted to chain 1 to kind of lock everything together. I'm going to yarn over and go back through those 2 stitches and half double crochet. You can half double crochet or you can single crochet. Up to you. Again, it is viewer's discretion. Now you're going to simply put 1 half double crochet into each of those 4 stitches that we skipped. So there's the first one, and I'm just working over the tail as I go around. And it's a little fiddling because it is small. Make sure and find my next stitch. There we are. If you can get your finger into that thumb hole and separate those stitches out, it makes it a little bit easier. There we go. All right. So now we've made it around. Let's count our stitches. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got 1 more right there. Now we're going to reach over and slip stitch to your first half double crochet or single crochet, whichever you decided to do. That's up to you. There we go. And you're going to work this repeat all the way around. Just 1 half double crochet back into that stitch and 1 half double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. When your thumb length is to your liking, you will then cut away and sew up the 5 stitches, draw them together and sew in your end. So just continue to work those half double crochets or single crochets. This was single crochet and this is half double crochet. So up to you, whichever you so choose. And that is it for this cute little mitt. I'm going to go ahead and finish it, sew in my end, and I'll be right back. All right, so here we are. The only difference between the two is this one was done in half double crochet for the thumb, and this one was in single crochet. Now I can take my hook and pop it up in there and kind of stretch it out a little bit. But that's the difference in the size. Completely up to you. You make it your own. That is how it works up. I hope that you enjoy this, and I hope that you make these cute little toddler size, baby size mitts, or even a little bit bigger. All right, everyone, be blessed, be a blessing, and until next time, bye for now.